In the heart of Uma village, nestled deep within the ancient forests of the east, a creeping terror held the people hostage. Once a land of music, laughter, and moonlight dances, Uma had become quiet, its joy swallowed by dread. Young women were dying, beautiful, vibrant daughters of the land, found lifeless in the early hours of morning with strange twin marks on their inner thighs. The villagers whispered of snake bites, but no ordinary serpent left such marks, and no one ever saw one. The bodies bore no signs of struggle, only a haunting stillness, as though their very souls had been stolen in silence. The elders called it a curse. The herbalists confessed confusion. People lived in fear. Then came the death of Oluchi, the seventh girl that year. Sweet, intelligent Oluchi, barely 17, full of dreams. Her death shook the village, but it struck one soul harder than the rest. Ifeanyi returned to Uma wrapped in black, her eyes clouded with sorrow and rage. She and Oluchi had grown up as sisters, though blood did not bind them. They had danced under moonlight as girls, fetched water together, dreamt of futures filled with light. Now Oluchi lay in the ground, and Ifeanyi's heart demanded vengeance. The villagers received her with pity but offered no answers. Fear had sealed their lips. But it didn't take long for a name to rise again and again, though never aloud, spoken only in glances and unfinished sentences. Obiora. He had arrived in Uma 3 years earlier, a builder by trade, handsome, charming, the kind of man who seemed to pull trust from people without effort. He helped the old, laughed with children, gave generously. His smile was a light in the marketplace. His voice smooth as palm wine. Women loved him. Men respected him. Yet each of the dead girls had once been close to him. Ifeanyi watched him from afar. She studied his movements, his habits. She noticed the way his eyes lingered a little too long on certain girls, the way his smile never quite reached his eyes. Something dark slept beneath his charm. She went to the families of the dead, asked careful questions, listened to the rhythm of silence. Again the pattern pointed to one place, Obiora. But suspicion was not proof. So she did what others feared. She went to Nwokidi, the ancient oracle who lived alone beyond the hills, where mist never lifted and the trees whispered even when there was no wind. Blind and feared, Nwokidi was said to speak with the spirits of the land. Ifeanyi knelt before him and laid her grief bare. "The one you seek," Nwokidi said, his voice like dried leaves, "is not only man. A serpent lives within him, not born of nature, but summoned through a dark ritual. It feeds on the life of women. Each death binds it tighter to him, strengthens him. He is no longer just man. He is vessel." Ifeanyi's breath caught. "How do I kill it?" The oracle reached into a wooden box and pulled out a small flute carved from the bleached bone of a python god. It pulsed with an energy that made the hairs on her arm rise. "This flute controls the serpents of spirit and flesh. But it sings only once. When you play it, you must be ready to finish what it reveals." Ifeanyi took the flute, her grip steady. She returned to the village not as a mourner, but as a hunter cloaked in softness. She smiled at Obiora. Let him notice her. She laughed at his jokes, allowed him to carry her water pot. Her eyes sparkled with false innocence. Within days, he invited her to his home. It was a quiet evening. The sky was painted with a dying sun. Obiora's house was tucked behind tall bamboo walls. Inside, it smelled of roasted spices and sweet palm wine. Candles flickered. He poured her a drink, complimented her skin, her laughter, her walk. He moved like a cat, graceful and precise. She played her role well, laughing lightly, brushing his arm, pretending not to see the shadows shifting beneath his wrapper. But her heart beat hard. He leaned close. His lips whispered lies. Then she saw it. Beneath the folds of his cloth, a flicker of scales. The faintest hiss like steam escaping a clay pot. Then she knew. As his hands reached for her, she blew the flute. The sound was soft, almost mournful, but it carried through the room like the cry of an ancestral spirit. Obiora froze. His eyes turned gold. His body convulsed. Then the serpent burst forth. It was long, black as charcoal, and glistening with a foul sheen. It coiled from his groin like it had been hiding inside him, waiting. But instead of attacking her, it hesitated, confused. The flute had broken their bond. "No!" Obiora shouted. "Kill her! Obey me!" But the snake turned to him instead, its eyes wide with rage. Plunged. He screamed as fangs dug deep into his flesh. Again and again it bit him, punishing its master for years of forced feeding. His body contorted, limbs flailing, mouth foaming. His once beautiful face twisted into horror. Ifyananya stood still, the flute now silent in her hand, her eyes watching with no pity. When the beast was done, Obiora's body was no longer a man's. It had withered like a fruit left too long in the sun. The serpent slid away into the night, never to be seen again. At dawn, Ifyananya stepped out of the compound. Her wrapper was torn, her feet bare, the flute tucked beneath her arm. The villagers stared in silence. "The deaths are over," she said. "The serpent has eaten its master." And they believed her. That morning the elders gathered. They named her Ojuanwanyi, the woman who faced the serpent. They sang her name in songs. Children grew up learning her story. And from that day, no girl in Uma was ever found dead again. Obiora's name faded, spoken only in fearful tales, a warning about men whose smiles hide fangs. Mothers warned daughters to be wise, not just beautiful. Fathers taught sons that true power lies not in seduction, but in integrity. And Ifyananya, who once walked in grief, became a symbol of strength. For in every generation, there must rise a woman with eyes sharp enough to see the snake wearing the mask of a man, and courage deep enough to destroy him.